Hälsning till alla Eurosport Nordic-tittare från Tony Ring här i soliga Spanien och Jerezbanan. Vi kör den första deltävlingen i årets internationella sportvagnsmästerskap.
Well, Eurosport's Tony Ring welcomes us to the Spanish Sherry city of Jerez, the opening round of the 1995 Kershaw Global Endurance GT, the second year of the BPR International Sports Car Series. The Formula One circuit, host to last autumn's Grand Prix of Europe, was last the scene of sports car racing in the 1980s, when the World Championship twice came to the Andalusian track, close to Spain's fourth city of Seville. But the World Series is now long gone, killed off in 1992. As Grand Touring car racing continues to pick up speed, there's a real possibility that the Kershaw Series will be given championship status. Porsche's Jürgen Barther, the B of BPR, spoke of his hopes for the future. BPR has made an application to the FIA for championship status this year. Are you hopeful this will happen?
Well, not championship status. We just made an application for international series status, and this will be decided in March. But after our meeting with Max Mosley, I think we are quite hopeful that this will pass and that we get the international series status.
Do you see this series one day becoming the World Championship for sports cars?
No, not really, because I think it's already a plan and already decided by FIA that there will be a World Championship combined out of three long distance races, which is Daytona, Le Mans and one race in Japan. And I think this will be the World Championship. Maybe we are a regional series or something like this, but not a World Championship.
There were a lot of political problems at Daytona this year. Do you think maybe the GT is going to be the easier option for the FIA to take?
Well, no, I think we're working quite closely with FIA together to get all the rules together, also with the Americans. And I'm hopeful, my feeling is that we will manage it sometimes, but it will take at least 2 or 3 other years before we have united regulations in America, in Germany, in Japan and elsewhere in the world.
Jerez sees the debut of one of the most dramatic road races of all time, McLaren's £650,000 230-mile-per-hour F1 GTR, ranged against Porsche, Ferrari, De Tomaso and Venturi at this first race. There are 3 of Gordon Murray's creations here, the race version of the world's fastest production road car, 2 for the Gulf GTC team, in the famous blue and orange colours of Ford and Porsche's sponsor of the 60s and 70s, the Bellum, Sala, Owen-Jones and Raffanel, and the other for West Competition, run by former Mercedes and Nissan Group C manager Dave Price, for John Nielsen and owner Thomas Büscher. 3 more McLarens will join the series over the next few weeks, one of them for Harrods heir Moody Fayed, which Justin Bell and others will be driving. British historic racer Lindsay Owen-Jones owns one of the Gulf cars, which he will share with Frenchman Pierre-Henri Raffanel. Lindsay Owen-Jones, owner of the Gulf McLaren, on pole position here at Jerez. You must feel great.
Well, I'm very excited. I'm very, very pleased for Pierre-Henri Raffanel. You know, I chose him as a teammate. He's been such a delightful person, and he's also very quick. And so he's pleased, I'm pleased, and we're all very excited.
Lindsay, you're known in Britain as a historic racer, but you're better known in Europe as president of L'Oreal, the cosmetics group. How do you equate racing with being president of such a large company?
Well, it's my only way of relaxing. If I stay at home, I just get bored, and I think it's much more dangerous. I might have a heart attack, whereas if at least I race that, I have some fun, and I go back to the office on Monday in great spirits.
You've driven a lot of cars. You raced at Le Mans last year. How does this McLaren GTR compare with what you've driven before?
Oh, it's another planet. It's another world. It's just fantastic. I'm still learning gradually how to handle it, but it's got fantastic potential.
Driving for the old ex-Ferrari team this weekend is Formula One racer Paul Belmondo. Paul Belmondo, pilote de Formule 1, mais la première fois avec Ferrari. Yeah, he said, it's my first time in a competition Ferrari, a big change from the Ferrari I normally drive on the road. Le BPR series cette saison, toutes les saisons? About the BPR series this year. He said, well, I'm doing the Car Show Global to start with, now at Jerez, and then maybe I'll be continuing with my friend Santiago Puig. Had a problem, he said. Unfortunately, the car went off the road in free training. We had a lot of work to do, but we're aiming for 5th or 6th place overall. We'll see how it goes.
Je dirais qu'on a une voiture pour faire un résultat correct. Je pense qu'on peut viser une 5e ou une 6e place au général. Ça dépendra un peu de ce qui se passera devant.
Belmondo and his teammates Michel Neugarten and Santiago Puig are also carrying our onboard camera, and we join Paul on his qualifying lap. Ferrari F40 twin-turbo, 650 horsepower out of Italian supercar. This is Jerez circuit, built 10 years ago in the sherry vineyards around Jerez de la Frontera, with European community aid and sponsorship from Tio Pepe. Hosted the first Spanish Grand Prix in 1986 when Senna and Mansell fought out the race. Senna's McLaren taking the victory by just 95 centimetres. Senna won again in 1987 and again in 89. The other two races here in 88 and 90 were won by Alain Prost for McLaren. Jerez lost the Spanish race to Barcelona in 91, but it came back last October as the European Grand Prix when Michael Schumacher won. Jerez has also made its mark as a world sports car circuit. Brun Porsche won here in 86, Jaguar in 87, and Mercedes in 88. And now sports cars are back on this circuit. Changed a little since the 1980s after Martin Donnelly's near-fatal accident qualifying for that 1990 Grand Prix. The fast corner behind the paddock has been changed. This is the back of the circuit. Listen to the sound of that Ferrari as he goes into Angel Nieto corner. And this is where the Ayrton-Senna chicane has been inserted. It's a change for safety, but breaks the rhythm of the flowing, undulating 4.4 kilometre circuit, say the drivers. Final hairpin and onto the start-finish straight. Belmondo qualifying 8th overall. New to the BPR series is ADA's Di Tommaso Pantera, running a 5-litre NASCAR Ford V8 for Andy Wallace and Torquil Turing. There's a lot of new Porsches as well. Brand new is the Customer 911 GT2, based on the new 993 model, a 450 horsepower twin-turbo replacement for the RSR. There's 5 of them here, all delivered in the past week, including one for Stadler's Daytona 24 Hours GT2 winners, Enzo Calderari and Lilian Breiner. The most winning team of 1994, with victories at Paul Ricard, Harama, Suzuka and Zuhai's Labra competition. And they decide to run their new GT2 in GT1 form. They add wider rear wheels but no more power for Bob Orlick and Christophe Bouchou, the Le Mans and Daytona 24 Hours winner. It'll be racing against cars with 200 horsepower more. Well, final qualifying, and the number 3 Gulf GTR of Rafanel goes out to try to claim pole position from the other McLarens. Nielsen at this moment fastest in the West car. He cuts the timing beam at 1 minute 47.32, 148 km/h average, and takes McLaren's first ever GT pole.
Je crois que c'est une bonne chose parce qu'on est arrivé ici avec très peu d'essais. Et je crois
que it's a good pole position for McLaren. He's saying it's good work. The car went well.
Dans l'histoire, ça restera toujours comme ça.
Very important for the team.
On aura fait la pole.
Important for Lindsay that we have pole position. I think it's going to be great for the Kershaw Global Series.
Cette catégorie, être devant, je crois qu'on a déjà rempli une partie de notre contrat.
Well, there's drama even before the start of the race. The Repsol Kramer Porsche GT2 has a fire in the morning warm-up, leaving Daytona winners Kramer Racing of a lot of work to get Prince Alfonso d'Orléans Bourbon and Thomas Saldana into the race. But the damage isn't serious.
No, it's probably just a turbo. I mean, cosmetically, there's really nothing. You just get it cleaned up, take off a bit of the smoke and the extinguisher powder, and I think we should be up and going for the race.
Hello, Eurosports fans. I am Pierre-Henri Raffanel and I am on pole position in Jerez. And now we are going to have a break, and I hope to meet you on the grid.
Welcome back to the Kershaw GT show. This is Mark Kohler to sunny but cold Jerez, and these are 5 of the best. This is the starting grid. Pierre-Henri Raffanel's Gulf McLaren F1 GTR on pole position, the first both for Raffanel and for McLaren. Alongside the Michael Caine run car is John Nielsen's West McLaren, just 22/100ths of a second slower. Taking up its place on the second row behind, Ray Bellum in the number 1 Gulf McLaren, accompanied by Maurizio Sala, seen here with his Brazilian compatriot Roberto Moreno, visiting from IndyCars. And then Labra's Porsche 911 with Bob Wallach alongside him, taking the start in this GT1 car. Row 3, and ADA's Di Tommaso takes 5th place, alongside the Stadler Porsche of Daytona GT2 winners Calderari and Briner. And on the 4th row, Stanley Dickens, Le Mans winner for Mercedes in '89, puts the cycle Porsche 7th, with the camera carrying Aldex Ferrari F40 of Belmondo in 8th place on the grid. Well, the pace lap underway. Starters after 23 cars came here to qualify. Some crashed or broken, but this is the cream of the field for the first ever Kershaw Global Endurance GT. Mindful of 1986, when the 3 silk-cut Jaguars collided in the first corner, the McLaren drivers were under strict orders to come round at the end of the first lap. Pace car prepares to pull off. Pierre-Henri Raffanel leading this class field. Coming into the final hairpin, pit lane entrance behind the pits there. Cars under starters orders. Raffanel just gives a squirt of this 650 horsepower BMW power in the McLaren. Lights go to green and the race is on, and immediately Raffanel pulls away. John Nielsen trying to go around the outside, Ray Bellum on the inside and tucking in behind Bob Wallach there in the Labra Porsche, but it's all safe at the moment. Raffanel and Bellum providing the bread for a McLaren sandwich around John Nielsen. The fight now begins in earnest. The 650 horsepower GTR is the class of the field, and indeed almost immediately starting to pull away, going through the clouds of cement dust after Venturi deposited the contents of its engine all over the track in the morning warm-up. Nielsen looking for a way past Raffanel, the big Dane challenging the slim Frenchman as they come up. On the hairpins at the back of the paddock. Nielsen can't do it at the moment, gets that power down. Remember, these cars have no ground effects like the Group C cars of the past. They might look a little like Group C cars, but they are road cars in effect to drive. Don't worry, not an engine blow up again. That's cement dust around the circuit. But look how Bob Wallach is hanging in there in the Labre Porsche, 200 horsepower less. And tucked in behind him, Andy Wallace in the Dieter Marsic Pantera. Great showing for the car that was first seen at Le Mans last year. And he's going to be doing the entire Caixa Global Series. It's still Raffinel, then it's Nielsen, then it's Bellum. These three McLarens triumvirate at the front of the field. Nielsen looking for a way through on the final hairpin. Oh, the cars just collide. They just touch there, and it's enough to put Nielsen off his stroke, and Pelham's all over the back of him now. Completion of the first lap, the pit boards are out, and the three McLarens climbing up the hill to that first corner. No problems as the Jaguars had in '86. Three world-class drivers here, Raffinel, Nielsen and Bellum. All experienced sports car men, all Le Mans racers. Big John Nielsen still looks to make that move all around this 4.4 kilometer Jerez circuit. Set amongst the sherry vineyards. Oh, Nielsen tries again on the inside, but he can't do it. Raffinel knows exactly where he is. Again and again, the Danish driver trying to pass the Gulf McLaren in front of him. Still the meat in the McLaren sandwich. With the sweeping corners behind the paddock. And the circuit, which incidentally is also famous for its motorcycle world championship races. Great sight seeing these McLarens out for the first time. Gordon Murray, the designer of the cars, here watching the progress of his babies. Through the Ayrton Senna chicane, almost impossibly tight. Firing back out behind the paddock, and then into the final hairpin, which brings them on to the start-finish straight again. Behind them, Bob Wallach still hanging on there in that Labre Porsche, the car running with these wider wheels, which the Labre team firmly believes is what this car needs. They're looking to put 650 horsepower through those back wheels by the time Le Mans comes around, when the car will be a Pucker GT1 car. But for the moment, running with 450, maybe 460 horsepower against the 650 of these three McLarens. Behind them, the Di Tommaso still running well, and the Ferrari F40 of Belmondo carrying our camera well up there in the action in 6th place. Nielsen just unable to find a way past at the moment, but he does seem to have the legs over the Golf car of Raffinel under braking. This is a fairly slow circuit here at Jerez, a lot of tight corners. Means the average speed is only something in the region of 88 miles an hour, which sounds slow, but at certain points of the circuit these cars are touching 190 miles an hour. Showing just how tight the hairpins are. A lot of second gear corners. These beautiful McLarens making absolutely sparkling debut here in Spain. The opening round of the 1995 International GT Series, a series which we heard Jürgen Barth telling us earlier should get international FI recognition in the next few weeks. If that's the case, points can start being awarded, and they'll be backdated to this race and to those races which take place before the FI decision is made. That includes other races, but look at this. John Nielsen making a big bid on the hairpin on the inside. Oh, he's got the traction, he's got the line, he's on the inside, and he powers through. Yes, Nielsen takes the lead. What a nice move there. Raffinel went just slightly wide. He didn't block his inside line, and Nielsen, and always an opportunist, was through in a flash. John Nielsen, Le Mans winner for Jaguar, Daytona winner for Jaguar. Perhaps the most experienced sports car racer here in this field at Jerez. Now leading the race. That was the 6th lap, he took the lead. And already there's problems though for Andy Wallace. He's bringing the Di Tommaso in. He's got fuel problems. The team will discover later, the ADA team, they're under Chris Crawford, will find there is dirt in the fuel supplied by the circuit. and its race will come to a premature end. So no luck for Andy Wallace, one of the few men to have won Daytona, Le Mans and Sebring. A early stop for our camera car. Belmondo comes in with the Ferrari. They've got electronic problems. Takes the time for a quick drink and continues as... Oh, in comes Nielsen to the pits, makes the first of the routine pit stops. So Dave Price Racing's pit crew will be going into action, and Thomas Bisher, the car owner, takes over the wheel, is in behind. Comes Raffanel. So after 1 hour of racing, in come the leading cars. Ray Bellum there briefly takes the lead, flashes his lights as he goes past Michael Caine's pit crew on the wall. Coming up behind the now rejoined Di Tommaso. But unfortunately, we won't see a lot more of the orange Italian car. We'll see plenty of these Gulf cars, though. Here is Nielsen arriving in the pits. Ian Saunders there, the team manager with the pit board. And Michael Caine up front for the Gulf stop as Lindsay Owen-Jones prepares to take over. A race between these two cars in the pits. This is the lead battle. Both cars stationary at the moment. Who's going to be out first? Well, the West car seems to have got the edge. Out it goes, yes, and past it goes. They've beaten the Gulf team in this little race and rejoins as Ray Bellum brings in what was the lead Gulf, the number 1 McLaren, to hand over to Maurizio Sala. Behind them, also due to come in, the Marlboro Porsche Bob Wallach, which briefly led. As all the pit stops were sorted out, here it is, in fact, Christophe Bouchou, Le Mans Peugeot winner and the Daytona Porsche winner, taking over the wheel from Wallach. Well, this is now the lead battle. Here we are. And the two car owners, Thomas Bisher, the German historic racing enthusiast, Lindsay Owen-Jones, the British historic racing enthusiast. And what a battle having between them. Oh, Owen-Jones has got the better of the German, goes through on the same place that Nielsen had reversed this situation for the two cars a few laps before. So great battle here, going on for the lead of the Jerez 4 hours. Oh, and Bisher tries to go for a gain on the inside, but I think the car owners seem to have very little regard for whether or not they're going to touch. Behind Bouchou now in the Marlboro Porsche, coming up at a rate of knots. This man spectacularly fast. 5th is Belmondo's Ferrari F40 with our camera on board. The Italian supercar still looking absolutely stunning 7 or 8 years after its first introduction. Powering around this fairly green hills. Well, here's Enzo Calderari bringing in the GT-leading Stadler Porsche, the car they received only 5 days before the race. He hands over to Lilian Breiner, the first lady of the Kerscher GT Series, and she keeps that car in the lead. Belmondo stops, handing Ferrari over to Michel Neugarten. Continuing to lead the Jerez 4 hours here. Oh, and Neugarten's in trouble. He finds the F40 too much of a handful, spins it into the gravel, but he's pushed back onto the road by willing marshals. Meanwhile, Owen-Jones continues to maintain his lead. The president of L'Oreal, the French cosmetic company, doing a great job in his British car here in Spain. While behind, Bouchou has now passed Maurizio Sala, who is fighting oversteer for 3rd place, and he's starting to chase Bisher. Well, this is going to be a problem all year. Traffic, the McLaren of Owen-Jones coming up behind the Ferrari of Neugarten, who's already in all sorts of trouble. We've seen him just spin. Looking for a chance to pass the Ferrari, which is some seconds slow around this circuit. Oh, and he locks up, he is caught out, he locks up and spins the car. The race leader spins, all but hits the Ferrari as he's picking it all up. Thomas Bisher and Christophe Bouchou fighting for 2nd place. They arrive at the corner and they are now fighting for the lead as an angry Owen-Jones drops down to 3rd place. Well, a lap later, the young French Charger goes past in the Porsche, 200 horsepower down. You see the top 3 cars passing through the picture. And Bouchou has it. He has the lead at the moment. This is most unexpected. A 450 horsepower Porsche, first time out, leading the three McLarens, the pride of Woking. And the McLaren brigade now gives chase in earnest. Thomas Bisher at the wheel of the West car. Christophe Bouchou, man who's tipped to be in Formula One this year with LaRousse. The race leader. Second race of the year and the second race he's led. He won the first, so maybe this will prove good as well. Coming up behind that errant Ferrari of Michel Neugarth, and this car obviously a bit of a handful around this circuit. Ferrari twice winners last year with the F40. Well, Bisher now being hounded. Oh, and he spins. Bisher spins in front of Owen-Jones, so both the team owners now had spins. But Bisher has some excuse. He had a loose front wheel. We later learned the cause of the incident. Gives Bouchou an even bigger buffer between the first and second cars, because Bisher's in trouble crawling back to the pits. He's now passed by Maurizio Sala in the number 1 McLaren. And of course Owen-Jones delayed, almost collecting that spinning Bisher. So Bisher heading back for the pits in all sorts of trouble, as we saw Wolfgang Kaufmann there, passing in the Freisinger Porsche. Loose rear wheel on the McLaren. You can see it there, that rear wheel. In he comes. The Dave Price team jump on the car, try and identify what the problem is. But Bisher not too far out of his routine sync. So Owen-Jones now heading for the pits as well, coming through the Ayrton Senna chicane. Owen-Jones ahead of Maurizio Sala. Pulling over with his indicator going there to come into the pits. Oh, and Owen-Jones spins the car coming into the pit lane. Has he got a problem? It looked like a grabbing front brake there. Well, this is a disaster for the McLaren brigade as Christophe Bouchou goes further and further ahead in the Labre Porsche. McLaren crew in the dark blue jackets looking a little concerned as Owen-Jones goes into the pits. Henri Raffanel takes over once again. Two Gulf McLarens in the pits again at the same time. Out goes Raffanel as in comes Sala to hand over to Ray Bellum. Raffanel leaves the pits, well, but there's a cloud of smoke, and that spells trouble, surely, from the front wheel. And at the top of the hill, the wheel's gone, and it's followed by another as he starts to pull off. Look at our slow motion of what happened. Front wheel, wheel nut and wheel comes off, just the same problem that Thomas Bisher had. And the number 3 McLaren is left stranded in the middle of the track. Well, car owner Lindsay Owen-Jones cannot believe what he hears on the team radio. One McLaren down and Porsche leading. This was not in the script. Our cameraman gives the wheel back to the marshals. With the McLaren stranded on the track, out comes the safety car. Well, Christophe Bouchou now has an almost 1 lap lead over the field, and learning from Daytona, he heads for the pits during the caution period. This, however, will cost Labre Porsche dear. The pace car driver, looking for the leader, waves the rest of the field by, and when Jean-Pierre Jarier brings the leading Porsche back into the race, it will have lost its lap advantage, and at the restart will be only 8 car lengths ahead of Bellum's Gulf McLaren. Well, they wave by, the race is on again, and there indeed, just 8 cars between the race leader and second place, Ray Bellum, obviously on the charge this weekend. So Jean-Pierre Jarier leading, but just watch Bellum's McLaren behind. Already passing cars. The West McLaren there, of course, a few laps down after those wheel problems. Jerez, the man who drove so brilliantly in Suzuka and Zhuhai at the end of last year to give Arbor those 2 victories in the factory-supported 911 turbo, now in the new customer 993 based GT2 twin turbo. Look at that, pulling away already, but Ray Bellum really starting to reel in those cars ahead of him. John Nielsen, they're in the car. All they can do now is hope perhaps for a top 5 finish. Almost 2 laps down already. He passes Jerez to make it 1 down. Bellum, driving like a man possessed, closes in on race leader Jerez. Question of time now before the inevitable is going to happen, surely. And there is Bellum right on the tail of the Porsche, and sure enough, on the final hairpin, he slips through, takes the lead of the race for the first time in this race, apart from that very brief lap during the first round of pit stops, and starts to pull away. Ray Bellum, a very experienced man, world Group C2 champion, Le Mans Group C2 winner now in the big time. What was Group C1, this is GTR1, what is the world's most sophisticated racing car. Jerez not giving up though, still pressurising the British driver. Into the Angel, Nito hairpin, a corner that's caught a lot of people out. Oh, and it catches Bellum out as well. Oh, Bellum spins, stops just short of the gravel, picks it all up, and now that has let Jerez and the Lara Porsche team back into the lead of the race. Well, John Nielsen back in again, routine stop. Belmondo continues with the in-car camera on board. And look at this, Bellum's caught up again. Only taking another 5 laps and he's right up with Jerez again. There they go, past the pits, and he takes the lead going up the hill. Braking for that first corner. Jerez now becoming exhausted, cannot do anything about it. Bellum incidentally due to have handed the car over to Maurizio Sala, but deciding to stay in for a second shift. John Nielsen starts his final charge, setting fastest lap of the race, but after that final pit stop, it ended with a broken gearbox on the penultimate lap. He was unclassified for failing to take the checkered flag. So we see Belmondo, Neugarten and Pusch in that Ferrari F40, still running strongly after its earlier electrical problems. Porsche, the DSF Porsche wearing some battle scars after running into the back of the Repsol Renault car. Through goes the Ferrari. Owen Ray Bellum leading and now heading for victory after driving what must be the race of his life. Jerez 15 seconds behind. Last lap, and there's the difference. Ray Bellum, Jean-Pierre Jerez, who likewise has decided to stay in the car for a second shift. Although tired, he came in to refuel 3 laps early. Christophe Bouchou was ready for the final shift, but hadn't got his helmet on because he came in early and unfortunately was unable to take over the car. So it's Bellum, it's still Jerez, and they're on the final lap at the Jerez 4 hours. What a fascinating race it's been. 8 times the lead of the race has changed. 15-second gap now being maintained throughout the last lap. Third place, the brand new GT2 Porsche of Calderari and Breiner after Daytona, their second GT2 victory in 3 weeks. But Christophe Bouchou is going to be denied his second victory in 2 races. He finishes second as the checkered flag's out. Ray Bellum, surely one of your finest victories.
Yeah, I made it a bit hard for myself because I spun when I took the lead and thought, bugger it, I've now got to make up another 20 seconds. But the car was absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, I set it up in the morning and it's very oversteery. But I got greedy. I was so enjoying myself, I thought I'd stay in there.
Proud winner, looking forward already to the next race this coming weekend at Paul Ricard in France. Well, that's been the Kershaw GT show. Join us next time here on Eurosport.